And this is our tax base. Development means that there's going to be a lot of rich people coming on, and we want their taxes because we want libraries and clinics and everything else. I don't want to say that we shouldn't have wealthy people. That's sort of the reality of what's going to happen with market rate housing. But the idea that we would do that and then bring a toll, a regressive toll structure that's going to basically discourage people from driving who can least afford it. So what I have said is, if we're going to have a real equitable conversation around congestion, managing congestion, I would rather be talking about $150,000 parking spots than a $5 toll. In other words, I totally understand that 21st century development, we have to make sure that we're doing everything we can to hit the aggressive targets of our climate action plan, which is going to try to very strongly discourage people from using private automobiles. I just have a problem with a $5 toll that is not going to be discouraging anyone who's driving a Tesla and coming onto, a fabulous luxury condo here. There's other ways to do that. How we do that, I think, is going to have to be a larger conversation. I'll keep making references because Steve and I had a lot of this conversation yesterday. As the District 6 supervisor who also represents Mission Bay, I used to work down by the ballpark back in the .com era, and I watched Mission Bay come together as a neighborhood. That wasn't different from some of the development that was going to be going on here in Treasure Island. It was developing land that hadn't been used or was underutilized, bringing a lot of housing on there, mixed-use development. There's going to be a school, there's a sports arena. There's a lot of great things that happened in Mission Bay. All of that happened without anybody talking about a toll. It wasn't something where the city was saying, well, we've got to develop Mission Bay, but we have to figure out a way for that to pay for itself as what they call sort of a net neutral to the city's general fund. The way that developments are approached in general terms around military bases, for whatever reason, when military uses are repurposed to civic, given back to the city, there has been an approach that's taken to make this something that's neutral to the general fund, meaning that the city budget doesn't pay. We have to figure out a way for this to pay for itself. That's how the Presidio has gone. That is how some of the development around Hunter's Point has played out. And I think that's one of the reasons that that's dragged on for years also. Alameda, I've heard, is a little different. I've heard different stories on whether Alameda was forced to pay for itself. What I'm hoping to do, and what I would like to use the bully pulpit of the District 6 supervisor position to advocate for, is to try to elevate this above Treasure Island and look at this as a citywide thing and also as a state and federal thing. This past weekend, I did a little Twitter thread about when I talk about those RENA targets, the 82,000 units of housing we have to build. They're very low income, and moderate low income, and then market rate. So there's 4 different categories. There's actually structures for tax financing for very low income and low income. There is no apparent support. Basically, the state has given us a target of 13,000 units that have to be moderate to low income, which is 80 to 120 of area medium income, or sometimes you'll hear people say AMI. That's what it means. 80 to 120%. This is middle class. This is like housing for teachers and firefighters. We need that, and we should have that. There's no tax plan for it. There's no plan from the state. Even though the state's going to hold a hammer over our heads that we have to do everything we can to produce this kind of housing, it remains to be seen who's going to pay for it.